Hello, welcome. It's Wednesday night here, and I'm going to be doing some coloring. I'm continuing this page from my Coco Wyo coloring book. This is from Lala Friends, and it's a normal coloring book with black lines. And what I've done is I did my first layer of coloring in alcohol marker, and then I got rid of all of my black lines using acrylic markers. And now I have been adding some shading using colored pencils. So that's where we are, and hopefully we can get some more lovely details in here. I'm just setting up my iPad so I can watch the chat. And it's being a little ornery for me. Let's see, live chat, there we go. Okay, so again, welcome, good evening. We're doing some coloring. Maybe you're doing some coloring too. I'm continuing to work on a page from my Coco Wyo Lala Friends book, and this is the progress that I've made so far. I really love how this is turning out. We started with just a normal coloring page like this with the black lines, and I did my base layer in alcohol markers, just flat coloring for that. And then I went over all of the black lines except my words on my sign here and the eyes on my little creatures. But I went over all of the lines with acrylic markers. And then the step that I'm on now is I'm adding all of my shading using colored pencils. So this page has been several hours of work already, but I'm really enjoying the process and I'm really loving how it's turning out. I feel like with the amount of shading I have already, things are starting to really pop off the page, and I know after a couple more hours of adding details, it's really gonna pop. So that's what we're up to tonight. Well, that's what I'm up to tonight. What are you up to tonight? Anyone coloring, doing some crafting, just seeing what's on YouTube? The colored pencils that I'm using are Faber-Castell Polychromos. I got these pencils recently at an estate sale actually, and I got the whole set for $20, which is insane. These are really nice colored pencils. I'm really having a good time using them on this page. I hadn't actually used them to color before. The only thing I've used them for was to do my swatch a couple of weeks ago. So this is my first chance to really get to play with them. You can see I've already done a lot of the green and the brown and some of the purple. I've done some of the shading on my little character, but there's still lots of little details to do. Now, I always put a sheet of cardstock behind my coloring, and sometimes it shifts, and unfortunately a little bit of my alcohol marker did bleed through to this next page, but I'm sure by the time I get to that I'll be able to cover that up. I'm not too worried about it. But I'm also using it to keep track of the colors that I'm using. You can see how detailed and fancy my system is here, but I am just writing the numbers of my markers and then the coordinating colors for the pencils right next to them, and just doing little mini swatches so I can keep track when it's time to grab the pencil and add some more color. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. I'm gonna go ahead and work on some more of my purple background. I think that that is an area that needs some more shading and some more definition. I'm also going to be doing the flowers and my little gem flowers. I haven't exactly decided what I what I want to do with them, how shiny or sparkly or what color I want them to be even. I'm really not sure. So the purple for the background is a safe choice to work on because, well, I already know what color I want it to be. So I just have to add some more. I'm just looking through my pencils real quick to grab my color. I'm going to be using 160. This is manganese violet. I believe this is the right color. So what I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is I really want things to pop. I really want the tree to pop off of the background. I really want it to look like it's in front of and not on the flat plane with this purple rock that I've got going on in the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit darker and then blend it out, and that should help make it pop a bit. I'm noticing this is not the color I wanted, but that's okay. It's not too far from the color I wanted, and actually it'll help me just give it a little more variation here. So no big deal. I also want my water to pop from this purple wall, so I'm going to be doing the same thing with that shade, just going in and darkening it, and then I'm blending it out. And you can see already how much that water seems to pop. It's almost like I'm adding a shadow, but really I'm just giving some definition between the colors, and that helps cause that separation. I wish I would keep better track of how much time I spend on a page, because it would be fun to be able to tell people, you know, when they ask, how long did that take you? And I'm like, I don't know, 10 hours. But was it 10 or was it 30 or was it 5? And I'm just exaggerating. Who knows? It's hard to say. And sometimes I think, oh, that's a lot of time to spend on one coloring page. But honestly, if I wasn't coloring, probably be playing on my phone or doing something else that was much more of a waste of time. So it's not so bad. Plus it's fun. It's fun, it's relaxing. So these rocks here underneath the bushes on either side of the tree here, these are really in the foreground. So I am going to want them to be a bit lighter than the whole background. So I probably will go in and add a bit more shading just to the back wall in general. So maybe it's a good thing I switched to a slightly darker shade for this, because that'll allow me to get more contrast. So I'm just going to move on, and I'm going to be doing the same thing just adding some darkness and helping those images pop off the page. In some places it really is like a shadow, but in some places the extra color is just for the visual effect. Even if there wouldn't be a shadow, it's just helping give contrast between the images. I worked on this page during a live last Wednesday, and then I've come back to it a few times since then. I was excited to keep going. I didn't want to wait all the way till Wednesday again to go after it, so worked on it a few days this past week. I'm just imagining if I was taught to color like this when I was a kid, if I could have been coloring like this the whole time, that would have been so cool. Hello, welcome. I'm very tempted when I finish pages like this to put Hannah, age, whatever, at the bottom like we do when we're kids. I am doing very well today. How are you doing? How was your day? I had a lot of meetings today at work, and all good meetings, and I work with a lot of good people. And it was nice in that most of the meetings that I had were in person, face to face, and most of the time when I'm working, I'm on my computer, and so it was really nice to have some off-screen time. It was a nice change of pace. Thank you. Thank you for that nice comment. This is part of a coloring book. This is Lala Friends from Cocowayo. And I know it doesn't really look like a coloring book at the moment, but that's just because I've done many hours of work to get it to this point. And I continue. I don't even have a good estimate for how much longer it'll take, but probably, let's see, maybe 3 hours, maybe 3 more hours, something like that. And then what? You know, what do I do with it? I told my husband I'm gonna hang it on the refrigerator. He said I should, but I don't think I want to tear it out of the book, so we'll see. What would you do with it? Same thing, yeah. My birthday is coming up. Sila, or is it Silas or Sila? "10 years old is an exciting age. I'm almost 4 times as old as you. That is an exciting age too." Sila, thanks for chatting with me. Hi, Maya. Hello. You know, 10 and 11, that's good ages. Good ages to be alive. Do you color? Do you like to color? I never outgrew it. And I used to teach high school, and my high schoolers loved coloring. And when I was in high school, my friends and I were still coloring too. I've never grown out of it. We didn't have YouTube when I was 10 or 11 though, so I never learned to color all fancy. It's a lot of fun. It's fun, it's relaxing, and then if you make something pretty, you can give it to a friend and they can treasure it. I still have all of the pages my students colored for me when I was a teacher. Sila asked what I do when I mess up. I just try not to. I just try not to mess it up. But one of the things I've learned about art over the years is that there's no mistakes. Bob Ross would have said, no mistakes, only happy accidents. But a mistake is just an opportunity to be creative and to find a way to make it better, to make it look like it's not a mistake anymore. So I think when we make mistakes, maybe it takes more time for us to make it look nice in the end, but often it ends up being more unique and more exciting for it. So, but mostly I just try not to mess up too much. Something else I've learned is to try not to stress so much about it. I would say I'm a recovering perfectionist. I used to want things to be really, really perfect all the time, and I've kind of gotten over that. The more we practice, the better we get too. So there's no such thing as perfect. There's no way every little detail is going to come out the way that we thought it would or the way we expected. We just practice and we just get better for next time. So I think I'm pretty happy with that purple background now. And I want to work a little bit more on the greenery. So this paper back here, I use this to protect my next page in the book, but I also use it to swatch as I'm going and keep track of my markers and pencils and things. So I can come back up here and see this color looks like it was probably this one. And then I can grab the same colored pencil again. When I was younger and I had a small set of colored pencils, there was only one green and one red and one yellow. But now it's a little bit trickier to keep track. So having the numbers really is helpful because a lot of the colors are very close to each other. I just want to add a little bit more to some of these, but I really need to finish these leaves and the stems of these. I wasn't exactly happy with how the coloring has gone so far with that. Oh, thanks, Sila. Yeah. So on these leaves, I'm leaving some parts lighter and some parts darker. One of the last steps that I'll do as I'm finishing my page is I will be adding in some additional highlights. And there are a few ways to do that. We can use a white colored pencil, we can use a white gel pen. I like to use a white acrylic marker for that. So even if some of these areas that are pretty dark, I'll still have an opportunity to lighten them up a bit at the very end. I feel like maybe I won't be happy with those until we get to the highlighting stage. Sila asked, what do I do when I mess it up? Honestly, the highlighting at the end with the white, that's the scariest part because you've already put in 10 hours and you really don't want to make a mistake at that point. And if your marker drips or something, then it really can make a mess of things. So that's definitely the nerve-wracking time of a coloring page like this. Okay, I'm gonna work on these little flowers here, and I have not started on them yet with colored pencils, so I still need to pick a shade. And to do that, I have my swatch here. So I want something that's close to these colors, but it doesn't have to be exact. I think I like this one, but maybe I like that too. I think I'm gonna go with this Pink Madder Lake. So I just need to find it in my box. 129. And I could do a lot of different things with these flowers. We could add a lot more detail to these. We could add extra colors. We could add little streaks. Can be really creative when it comes to florals, but for now I am going to shade them darker toward the outside and lighter toward the center. And give it a nice little flower center here. Hello, Bianca. Skyla, you told me that you are 10. I am 4 times as old as you, almost. Almost. I'm very excited that I am crafting tonight with my dear friend Bianca, who just joined the chat. She lives very far away, but we used to live so close to each other that we could walk to each other's houses and we could craft together. But mostly we just talked on the phone and gossiped and listened to music. And now we craft on opposite sides of the world. It feels like that anyway. Yes, the good old days. We'd walk to each other's houses or ride our bikes down the one big hill in town just for fun. Some of those days were better than others, I will say. It was nice to not have to pay bills. That was definitely a good part. Skyla, I bet you're enjoying that. Not having to pay bills. These flowers, they're so small. It's hard to get the detail that I want in them, and I feel like they're really boring, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to blend the colors out a little bit and then maybe add some fun details with my acrylic markers at the end. They're just so blobby. They're a very blobby flower. I can't take credit for the blob. I am adding the colors that I used for them to my little swatch sheet here though, in case I need to come back to them. There we go. So I went to Chipotle for lunch today. I was in between meetings and I had meetings at a couple of different buildings. So stopped at Chipotle, and I think I was their first customer of the day. I didn't realize that Chipotle opened at 10:45, but that's about when I got there. And the guy that made my bowl was very nice. Everything looked delicious. And then we get over to the register and he wasn't logged into it, and he was trying to figure out who was logged into it. And I mean, I was delayed like 20 seconds. It was nothing. I was not feeling impatient or rushed or anything at all, but he felt like that was too long for me to wait. So I got my lunch for free at Chipotle today. I told him he made my day. Who says there's no such thing as a free lunch, huh? For 20 seconds of inconvenience. So what is this little guy? Yeah, I think that he is like a star head. I don't know, but he's on the cover, and Starhead is the only thing I can think to call him. So he's on several of the pages in this cute coloring book. There's also the little unicorn dog and a little dragon, and everyone has eyes. Things have eyes. You're like, oh, I guess that thing's alive. Oh, this is like a robot. This is, I think, reminiscent of WALL-E. It doesn't look like WALL-E, obviously, but it's a robot with a boot and a plant. So I think that's what they're going for there. There's a little sloth, but we've got our unicorn dog. Don't know. I don't know what that is. We've got some mushroom characters. This character it's not a star for a head. Almost looks like a tomato of some sort. There's definitely some vegetables hanging out here. They're just some very interesting creatures. Oh, this one is cute. I thought it was a tomato in the other one, but it's like a stitched heart and more veggie friends. So yeah, I don't know. Starhead. A ravioli. Skylar, I just saw you said to make it a rose. I love roses. Maybe we'll do that. You're so nice. Thank you. So I think I do need some help though, because I don't know. These little flowers are gems. They're like, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what they're intended to be, but they're some sort of a gem. And I don't know what I want to do with them. I feel like they need to be more vibrant on this page. So right now they're just like a very pale pink, but they need to sparkle and shine or something. I mean, if there's a gem growing out of a plant, I feel like it should look a little more exciting than this. Sila. I keep saying Skyla. I'm sorry, it's because I'm getting old and my chat is very small and I think I'm just adding some extra letters there. I'm so sorry for that. Sila. So Bianca, are you suggesting that they're all different gems? Diamond color, yeah. And I'm not sure that I know how to make them look super diamondy. You know, maybe I have an idea. Let's see. I have another book. This is also from Kokowayo. I love this book. I'm actually obsessed with this. But this one, they give you instructions on how to do a pattern and then you create it. Let me flip to some that I haven't done. So this came pre-colored with these ideas for textures and patterns and things. I'll show you a couple more. And then you have space to try them out. It's super, super fun. I've done the first bunch of pages in here, but I think, yeah, there was a gem one in here, a crystal. So maybe I should color them kind of like this. Maybe I should use that idea. The only problem is these are so small. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that kind of detail into them, but I could definitely incorporate some of the elements that I did here. Well, might as well try. Not even quite sure where I want to start. I guess we'll start by picking a color. I think I want to keep it in the pink range and then maybe, oh, I just don't know. Yeah, you're right. The white outline will make it look gemmy. I need a color that will go well with this page. Light magenta. Did I already use 118? Yeah, okay. So I used this color on these flowers. It's one of the colors that I used here. I think that's what I'll use on these gem flowers and just see how it goes. I think by the time we add all of the details at the end, it'll look different enough from the flowers that it won't be too matchy-matchy. Okay. Just trying to think through what this might need to look like. It doesn't seem like there's any real rhyme or reason. Just some streaky bits. Yes. Pink tourmaline. Wouldn't it be cool if all dead flowers turned into gems? That would be really neat. I would not mind that at all. Oh, speaking of dead flowers, so on my Wednesday lives, I've been just coloring for the last couple of months, but something else I've been working on is Halloween cards, and this is the one that I finished yesterday. So this little guy will be featured in a short tomorrow. It's a funny dead flower. It's not too early to be thinking about Halloween. That's what I've decided. I also live where it's very, 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 very hot. And so the thought of fall is the only thing that's keeping me going most days. The thought of like when it will finally cool down. So it was only 100 today, but it was humid because it actually rained last night. And it was extremely, extremely miserable, but A Life of Colors asking for the name of the book. The pattern book is How to Draw Patterns from Coco Wyo. And the book that I'm coloring out of is Lala Friends. And this is an adorable, 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 adorable coloring book with very interesting characters. You know you live somewhere where it's too hot when you get to say things like, it was only 100 today. It was only 100 degrees. That is ridiculous. No one should live in a place where they say things like, it's only 100. But I chose to live here. I moved here from somewhere else. So I really try not to complain too much because it was a choice. And I mostly like it here. So. You're welcome. All right, well, we've added some streaky bits, and I think I'll add a little bit of shading. I'll add a little bit of a darker pink to give it a little bit of dimension. And then the next step will be the white outlines. So that is the part that scares me. That's the part I'm always worried I'm going to mess up. I'm going to use 129. That was the other color I used on the little flowers. I am trying to limit the number of colors that I'm using on the page just to make it feel more cohesive. Some of the details that we add to things like this are like, does it even matter? Is anyone ever going to notice? But it's all just for fun, right? Do it because we like it. All right. I think the most fun part about these crystals was, you know, this was their sample there, which also looked really cool, but I thought, you know, I wanted to get rid of the black lines completely. I really liked that. And then not only did I add the little dots and the streaks with the white acrylic marker, but I also added dots and sparkles around the outside, and I think these flowers will definitely need that too. So I don't think I'm going to get to the sparkles tonight because that's going to be one of the very last things that I add here, and I still have a couple of places that I want to add a little bit more shading. So I think I want to add a little more shading to my mushrooms. I'm not totally happy with my boots. I haven't done the flashlight yet. And this flashlight, oh, I think that's what he's holding is a flashlight, because I think he's like in a cave, maybe a mystic garden in a cave. That's what I'm imagining. And so I think what I want to do is add a light ray coming out of this. I don't want to darken the whole page, but I can add some white in sort of like a conic pattern here that's lighter, and I'll probably do that with a pastel, with like a chalk, just to lighten it up a little bit. I haven't decided exactly what that's going to look like yet, but I don't want to do any of the final details until I figured things like that out. So, adding the white details. I have Artistro acrylic markers, and I really like these, and I will definitely open this cap with my coloring book page closed, just in case any of the paint splatters out. That would be very annoying. I'm just gonna scoot that out of the way. Don't want any unhappy accidents. And if you haven't used a marker like this before, they're excellent. They really are full of paint. And you shake them and then you prime the tip. You just push it in and then the paint comes out. But sometimes a lot of paint comes out, which is why you would want to do this on a different page and not right on your coloring book. I already used a lot of acrylic markers on this page. If you didn't notice, all the black lines are gone, other than, you know, the writing on the sign and the little eyeballs there. So I've already gone over all of the other black lines with acrylic markers to get rid of those. It gives a really, really fun effect. I do like black lines in coloring books. I mean, I like when a coloring book looks like a coloring book, but it's just something different and fun to try. They do look like they're starting to sparkle a little bit already, huh? And I'm not going to add the little sparkles, like I said, but I am going to add some little white streaks. And those make it look glassy. Makes it look like reflective. You don't want to add too many, just a few. I think that's probably enough. Bianca asked how long I've been working on that page. I was trying to figure that out. So the first layer that I did was alcohol markers, and that was all flat coloring. I'm sure that was at least an hour. And then probably 2 hours for the acrylic marker. And then the next stage was the colored pencil, and probably at least 2+ hours on that. I think we're at about 6 hours. The 5 to 6 hours. definitely not been a quick project. But Bianca, who's in the chat, she is crocheting a blanket, and I'm sure she's put many hours left to go. Of course, you can cover yourself up with a blanket. It's a little more useful than a coloring page that I'm going to be too afraid to pull out. I joked about hanging it on the fridge, but I think I'll just leave it in the book. I remind myself if I wasn't coloring, I'd probably just be scrolling on my phone, so I think that's all right. Thanks for chatting with me, Sila. Yes. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for me for today. I've been on for about a little less than an hour, and yeah, I'm gonna need to take a little break, have some dinner. So I hope you all have a lovely evening. Thanks for chatting. Hope you have a wonderful night, Bianca. Life of Color, thanks for chatting with me. And I will be back next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.